All right, I think we are live. I'm getting the thumbs up sign. Once you guys confirm you can hear me, I think we'll get the show started. I hear, wow, we are live. That's right, Clay PL. We are live. Let me know once, yeah, Pavel. Well, they can see you at least. Can everyone hear me okay? Yes, they can hear me. Perfect. Everyone, welcome to Dev Stream number 8. It is great to see everyone. As people have already said, Pavel. We have returning fan favorite Pavel today as our guest. Pavel, how are you doing today?
Fairly okay. It's getting close
Okay.
to launch, so
Right.
a lot to do.
It,
Busy.
yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to do. Pavel number 1. That's what everyone says. First off, I believe, and I was just getting note of this a second ago, but I believe AEW releases today. And there's a lot of people excited about AEW. So if you're one of those people excited about it, and big congrats to that team. We're going to be following you in a couple weeks with our own release, so we know what it's like. But I hope they all have a great, smooth release, and they have a good, successful day today. Yeah, we're not gonna talk about AEW today, but if you want to go check it out, I always like to, congratulate other people that are in the thqnordic family that have releases when they have them. So, today we're talking about Jagged Alliance, and we are, good lord, we are T minus what, 2-ish weeks? How you
Yes.
feeling, by the way?
No pressure, It's
No pressure. I
it's
saw
going.
someone quoting your trailer line earlier today. Don't F it up, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, they're sleeping a little bit, Clay PL. They're not completely. Some people want streams every day. Oh, like I don't think we're gonna do that. But we are
Mm,
streaming once, and I think I mentioned earlier, and I don't have the exact time that we're gonna start. I will have it by next week, I think. We are gonna do a release day stream. It's gonna be a fun party stream. So on release day, we're gonna have a number of guests. Ian Curry's gonna come back. We're gonna have some other special guests, and we're gonna have a really fun time for our release day stream. So that'll be a special fun moment. We'll play the game live. We'll talk. There'll be a cheers at the launch time, maybe, and we'll all have our own little special fun drink for that. So it should be a lot of fun for the launch day. So if you want to join, go ahead and mark your calendars while you're waiting to download and jump in. You'll be able to hang out with us, and then it should be a good time. So I have a question for you, Pavel. Did you happen to catch the stream from last week with Ian?
yes.
What
It's
did you
very fun.
think?
Well, it's always fun to see the perspective of someone who's lived and breathed the franchise before, before I was ever in game dev at least. So it was very insightful.
Yeah, he's always so exciting to watch and so exciting to talk to. So I think everyone enjoyed it. It was a good time. Um, Yeah, his
Yeah.
mic. We tried Hawk. That was one of those things where Hawk's commenting about how he had some mic
Yeah.
issues. We're gonna try to get that fixed for the release day stream. It was just a technical
Mm,
challenge with his main mic, but I still think it was all right. I understood him okay, so it'll be
yeah.
good. But I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun hanging out with him. I remember my first time I met him. He's just a very insightful, wise guy. So it was cool to talk to him.
Yeah, especially
So
with him talking with how parts of the team went inside the actual game in the end. So
yeah, Clay PL. Yeah, we're trying to make it an immersive stream. So Ian was streaming from 2000s era equipment. It's just fine. It's all good. We gotta make it immersive. We are gonna show some live gameplay footage today. Not a lot, but we're gonna use it as part of our dev stream. So you're gonna see a couple things in real time, which is kind of fun. So that'll be neat. And let's go ahead and jump into the topic. We have a lot to talk about today. Today we're talking about guns. That was the title of the dev stream, right? Pew pew pew.
yeah,
And I know this is a really exciting topic for a lot of people. So there's a lot of passionate fans out there. The Jagged Alliance Arsenal. Sometime I think next week we have a cool new Arsenal trailer coming out. So keep tuned to our YouTube channel for that. If you haven't checked it out, we just released our mercenaries trailer a day or so ago. So that's also a really neat new trailer that we dropped. But next week there should be a trailer dropping about the Arsenal stuff, and you'll get a chance to see a little more of that in time. But there's a really awesome diary that we posted earlier this week on community.jaggedalliance.com, so you can go and check out our dev diary there and read all the stuff. And we're going to go through things today. So the arsenal and the weaponry is something that we really talked about quite a bit in the beginning of development. As one of our one of the areas we knew we were going to have to invest quite a bit of love in.
Hmm. It's a big part of the franchise. It's something that's like a core part of the gameplay. Like, I mean, there is melee, but most of the time you're using firearms, so having them look and feel right for the game was really important. And yeah, we pushed a lot of things that we haven't done before to be able to uh, make them look the way they do right now. So hopefully you guys will like it when when it comes out, because I'm a little bit passionate, and how should I say, it's a little bit my baby in a way, in terms of the
Yeah.
art. The gameplay, you'll talk with Momchi a little bit later on, so he can give you a little bit more on that. So
Yeah, there was a for all those who don't know, Pavel was I mean, obviously Pavel has a lot of different responsibilities in the project, but you were the main point man on the Arsenal development and all the visuals and making sure that we made a good high quality version for each of the weapons. So if you don't like something, you got someone to maybe have a conversation with. But I think it turned out really well. So I think they're going to be,
yeah,
especially for a turn based tactical RPG. There's a lot of detail in there that I think they're going to appreciate. Um,
yes.
these now the what was our main goal with the kind of the arsenal of Jagged Alliance 3? Like what were some of the things that we were talking about that were important to us?
Well, it was important to have it again grounded in realism, have the real weapons from actual life out there. There were several factors that came into like what kind of weapons would go in. First of all was like, since Jag 3 is a little bit later after Jag 2, around the early 2001 time periods, we needed weapons that would fit like the timeline. The second one was where the game was set. So the former colonial past, of Grand Chien, kind of dictated what kind of weapons you would find there. The clash between the former, French garrison there and the Germans that overtook it. Like, you can find a lot of old German weaponry just lying about, and like all of the people in Grand Chien using it up until this day. So it was, yeah, it was fun to research a lot of that. Like, I mentioned to some friends, like, my search history will never be the same. And probably we were joking with Brad that we have our own FBI agents, looking into everything we search for right now. So
I can
yeah.
imagine.
And the
Well, I
third
think
one is, of course, the gameplay. Like, we needed something to fit the gameplay. So that was
yeah.
always a consideration.
Yeah, I think so. To kind of pull back a minute, I think the main goal that we articulated in the dev stream or the dev diary was that we really wanted the guns to feel tactical and real, like you said in the beginning, and that
Yeah.
was really important to us, and have that kind of enough of a correlation to their real world equivalents that they felt immersive, and that you got that
Hmm.
simulation feel. But we really another really important element for us was to open up a whole bunch of different play
Yes.
style concepts with the weapons that we picked. We really wanted to have, between the mods, the ammo, and the weapons themselves, we wanted them to drive that diversity of game experience that we wanted players to have choice in, and kind of mirror the open world mechanics of the game when it comes to how you pick your weapons. We didn't want any kind of one size fits all solution, and one range that would work. We wanted players to be able to try a whole bunch of different things.
Hmm.
And this really kind of drives down to the categories of weapons that we've selected. So
Yes.
there is I think one, two, three, four, five, six, should I count before, seven categories of weapons.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna wrap them off really quick. Well, we can go through them one by one. So the first one, and we'll just do them really quick because I know that we're gonna talk about these in a little more detail with Munchin a little later.
Hmm.
First one is handguns, which should be obvious.
You start with those. Yeah, it allows for a lot more dynamic play style. You can move around more with them, you know. So that's something that's actually, Momchi is going to talk more about that later on, and I'm not going to go over his parts and his baby, which is the actual way you use the guns. But yeah, that's something that you start off with, and it's for more open play style. You can dual wield them, of course, which is fun in a game, because where else would you dual wield pistols if not, in a video game?
Right. And then we have shotguns, which that makes sense, close range for the most
Yes.
part. And different types of shotguns that have different kind of bonuses.
Yes.
We have
Not always.
Sorry.
Again, Momchu, not only. Again, Momchu later on will tell you a little bit more what you can do with shotguns as well.
Yep. We have SMGs, which makes sense. And they're kind of a sorts of medium range. And I think you also can dual wield SMGs as well, right? That's another weapon that allows for
Some
some
of
dual
them.
wielding.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can't some of the larger ones because, yeah, it's going to be really hard. But for instance, some of them fit quite nicely in one hand, so you can dual wield those fairly easily. So
Yeah, yeah. We have assault rifles, which crowd favorite, and we're gonna look at assault rifle in game in a little bit.
yes,
We have
those
the
are the most
actual,
moddable of all of them. So
yeah, a lot of different mod options for each one, which is really fun. And
Mhm.
then rifles themselves, which kind of encompass like the bolt fire rifles and the
Some of the
snipers and
semis.
whatnot. Yep. We have well, I wouldn't say assault rifles are jack of all. I mean, they're kind of jack of all trades, but they're not great at super long range, obviously, and there are other weapons. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you can do a lot of different stuff with them. That's true,
Yeah.
and especially
If
with the
you,
different mods, there's a lot you
yeah.
can do to put them in different directions based on how you may want to use them.
If you
Then we
want to be
have,
really mobile, you can still stick with SMGs because SMGs have that advantage in mobility compared to assault rifles.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we have machine guns and heavy weapons, which are two different categories. I really love the heavy weapons. Those are kind of a late add. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with them.
Yes. Um, I don't know how much of the heavy weapons we've actually disclosed, but you've probably seen from some of the snapshots that we've done and some of the things in the trailers. So there's a lot of things that go big boom there. So uh, you'll have fun.
Yeah, and also I noticed some people talking about this in the most recent Merc trailer because we've shown off destructibility in quite a few different areas, but there's a couple shots of that trailer that show off the destructibility, and those heavy weapons can be very
Mhm.
influential in doing that. And there was a clip that someone was sharing around in the and I actually watched it. It was in the Dev Diary chat of one of the German streamers, I think it was, that
The one with the
uh
roof.
yeah, blew a hole in the roof, and then the enemies are underneath because the hole blows up, and there's two
Mhm.
enemies. Like, no, it was two civilians. I think it's Herman
Martha,
what's Herman's wife's name?
Martha.
Martha. Yeah, Martha and Herman are sitting there by the bar, like, oh, like looking up, and you saw the German guy laugh. I don't know what he said because it was in German. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So that's that destructibility ties into heavy weapons pretty well.
Yeah, a lot
Um,
of people had questions about destructibility, and yes, there are going to be penetration stats to a lot of the environment. So depending on the weapon, the caliber, and a lot of the stuff that's into the simulation itself, you can do a lot of damage on the environment.
Yeah. Someone was asking, and I'll take this question or two questions here real quick. One of them was Spine Duke was saying, are mods only available for assault rifles? No, they're available for all the weapons. So the mod system is pretty extensive.
Hmm.
There's a lot of different. Now, not every mod option is available for every weapon, and we'll show some of that when we do the gameplay share here in a little bit with Munchin. But yeah, you can mod everything. And the other question I saw was Olak had a question for Pavel, which is Pavel, do you have a favorite weapon in Jagged Alliance 3?
They switch like with every playthrough. Like I try something different, and there's a place for it. So not really, but the thing that's the most enjoyable for me is yeah, we're gonna disclose it anyway. So it's the rotary grenade launcher that you just I love it when it goes like poof, shoots off a grenade at a bunch of enemies, just ruins their day. It's cute. I like it. I love it.
Yeah, there's a really good. Hey, Jimmy Lee. There's a really good scene in the Arsenal trailer coming up next week that has that like there's like two or three guys inside of a building, and the Merc fires it. And it's like boom and boom and blows up between two or three of them sitting in one small area. So that's fun when you're on the giving end. It's not fun when you're on the receiving end of that. So there's also that part of it
Yes,
too.
it,
So
it, it's both ways.
So you kind of mentioned this earlier because we jumped ahead a little bit on the script here, but there were three major factors that contributed to deciding which individual weapons made it into the game. We have a pretty extensive list of weapons, but
Hmm.
the three ones that you went over before, just to remind everyone, because you were kind of going through them when I was asking about kind of what was important to us, were location, time, and kind of their gameplay effect. So
Yes.
location you were talking about before, and this kind of ties into the history of Grand Chien, because there is
Mhm.
a lot of not a lot, but there are some like of those older kind of World War II era German weapons that you find, especially as kind of like more intro weapons,
Mhm.
because of the heritage of the island.
Yes. So the history of Grand Chien, as I said, it has its colonial past. It was a French colony, and during the war, it actually was um, taken over, by a German army. So there's a lot of leftover hardware there that you can find, and a lot of the locals have found. Some of it in rough shape, but yeah, still usable. So yeah, you can find a lot of those there. It's interesting because even in later playthroughs, some of the early guns are still quite
Yeah, yeah, for
usable
sure.
and quite good. Yeah,
Yeah.
but moving on to the second one, not going on a
Yeah, well,
tangent here.
the time frame is also really important, and I think we kind of we're not really being precise about the exact date, but the
Yeah.
goal is like late 90s, early 2000s. We have that kind of range. So some of those weapons that have only been introduced in the last 10 or 15 years, you're not going to see those in Jagged Alliance 3 because they wouldn't have been made yet. But so that's kind of our
Yeah.
cutoff for our decision making process there in time.
Yes. So that was, yeah, the only limitation in a way, because Grand Chien is a place where a lot of contraband can find its way to. Like
Right.
there's warlords, there's civil war going on in a way, so everyone with a wad of cash, would want a
Well, and
weapon.
mercenaries that have been coming that have come there before, other paramilitary groups. So you also have some of that,
Yes.
more advanced weaponry from a well-armed group that may have come in and done something. So you get a nice range there.
Hmm.
Um, and then the last thing we mentioned, and just to touch on this one more time, is that gameplay effect because you really do want to have kind of a diversity of different mechanics and whatnot. I think even when we were talking about the difference between the rotary grenade launcher and the assault rifle, and what you can do with even like the shotguns, which shotguns have that kind of like AOE spread a little bit to it, but also have
Yeah.
the. I really like the shotguns, especially with certain characters that have shotgun related perks or close range perks, because you can like one shot certain enemies if you get close enough, and being able to come up and just double barrel a shotgun, if you
Yeah.
have like the double barrel shot and just blow them away in one hit, that can be really both satisfying because they go flying, like you get some momentum from that shot. The
Mhm.
physics makes it really cool, but it's also just a neat strategy to have, someone that can run around and take someone down in one hit if they can get close enough.
Yeah, there's like the gameplay aspect of it was, we wanted, like you mentioned earlier, just to open up a lot of different ways that you can approach encounters. Uh, Whether you want to go all like assault rifle, or have someone for close quarters, someone for long range, and a mix of all of that is up to you. But we just wanted to allow it and see where it goes with each player's playstyle.
Yeah, Olak, I see a couple people have asked questions about can you remove mods from guns to reuse them on other guns? So the mods themselves are not necessarily detachable and retachable items. The
Mhm.
way that mod installation works is there is a critical component, a resource, and then parts, which we're going to show this. How about this? I'm going to get to that question, Olak. We'll show it in game. So we're going to show the game in a little bit when we have Mumshil on, and when we do that, we'll go through and actually do some of the mods and changings. But there's kind of a resource management loop around it when it comes to like
Mhm.
resources that you can recover if you change them and whatnot. And it's easier to show it in real time. So I just didn't want. I know you asked a question a couple times, but I didn't want you to think I was ignoring it. I just wanted to do that with the second half when we bring Munchin on. So yeah, we're talking about the diversity of range and everything. So I think, and just kind of the way the mechanics kind of tied into the weapon choice, which I think is, it's. I also think that there's like a nice choice that gets made between like having a weapon that you like that has low durability and maybe finding a new weapon that you haven't used yet that has high durability, and you have to go, okay, do I want to spend time repairing this to try to bring it up to snuff so it doesn't break, or maybe I wait for a little while because I don't have the parts I want to use for that, so I'm going to use the new weapon for a little while before I can repair my favorite weapon. There's some
Mhm.
different choices that make, and that kind of drives you to also sometimes experiment with different kinds of loadouts and different weaponry.
Yeah, that's a that's a choice that you have to make, because you never know what you're gonna get in a way. But that's a gameplay thing in terms of the drops. So I'll leave that for now.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, Spine Dupe, basically a cost for installing it. But there's also like it's the cost is not just there's some rare parts basically that kind of have you make a decision. You're not gonna be able to just have infinite of lenses, by the way, as an example, to put on every single weapon. So you have to kind of make some decisions there. Now, when it comes to the actual like art creation process and actually getting the physical assets into the game, that was an area that you had a lot of ownership of. Like that was a big part of what you were working on, especially in the early stages of the project.
Yeah, that was something that I was driving. I wasn't doing it like I relied on a lot of key artists that have years of experience, like Nelson and Mitaka from the team, and a lot of our, other people. So yeah, I was just driving what we actually need and how it should be grounded in reality. Note, full disclaimer, it's not fully grounded in reality because some things you just can't do on the fly somewhere in the
Yeah.
middle of a third world country. But then again, it's a game and it needs to be fun. It needs to open up a lot of possibilities for you to do. So yeah, you are going to be able to sometimes change your barrel length and swap a barrel for weapons that you normally wouldn't be able to. So yeah, that's our full disclosure. Some people might like it and some people might not, but hopefully it'll
There's
make the
always
game be fun.
always mod some things if you want to create the super realism mod, right? That's one of the advantages of having mod support is allowing players that want to mess around with different layouts. But yeah, you're right. It's a game first, so you have to kind of create experiences and balances and systems that make it fun.
Yes.
One thing that was also really important to us, because usually with a turn-based strategy game, you're not necessarily going to add the level of detail that we went into the weapons when it comes to their models and their textures and everything. But it was a conscious decision from us. We wanted to, we know how passionate people are about the
Mhm.
weapon systems and the visuals of the weapons, and we wanted to, create a interface and a level of asset quality that made them look and feel really good just to kind of browse your arsenal.
Mhm.
So the mod screen, it's a pretty close up look of the weapons and you can spin
Mhm.
them around and kind of inspect them, and that gives it was a unique challenge, I guess, for you guys to build that quality of asset out for every single weapon because there's quite a bit of them. But it also helps give the players that really want to have that immersive experience a chance to like move them
Mhm.
around and them. And actually with the different mods, they change, right? When you add a mod in, you're going to see the models change. They're attachment points on the mesh that actually adjust based on each one. So there's a lot of not just the asset itself, but that customization shows up visually.
Yes. So that was a fun challenge because it needed to look good from the game camera, like from
Yeah.
the tactical game camera that's, I don't know, 20 meters above or something like that, and it should look good in the modification window, the modification menu as well. So it was a balance between those two things. In the beginning, there were some things that we modeled that were not needed because you're not going to see it in that level of detail from the actual game camera. But yeah, some other things, like for instance, when you install a fast like a mod that allows you to fast reload, which is a quick change mag, either with another mag taped to it, like still has the rounds in the second mag, so it looks better. So that level of detail was fun, to fine tweak in a way.
Yeah, one thing that we talked about in the diary that may not be obvious to everyone when they're looking at it is that there's also, well, yeah, Claypeel. The problem though is that with those modification screens, you're making changes or you're evaluating decisions about what you want to do with the weapon that requires a lot of information. It's like the stat screens from MMO when you have like your item comparisons. You kind of need some of that data. We actually discussed that UI quite a bit in terms of like min versus max, and we wanted it to feel like a really good dissection of what the weapon can do and have a little bit of lore there. And like there was a lot of stuff we wanted to make it to be immersive. So I think when you use it, it works pretty well. Obviously, when you sometimes look at it on someone's screen or in a trailer, it seems overwhelming. But I think when you actually are using it, the decisions you're making, the info is pretty concise. But maybe that's a screen that you guys find we get some feedback for and we make some adjustments on in later patches. You never know. Um, one of the things that I find really cool that may not be obvious is that the mods don't just change the actual visuals of the weapon in terms of like its mesh and what's attached to it, but they also can change some of its effects, like its VFX and its spray effect in the game. So there's some
Yes.
mods that change like the muzzle flash effects and some of the other VFX, so you can actually see the impact when you shoot the weapon.
Yeah. So it's you do have some really iconic weapons that are built differently. My favorite example was the one that I gave in the dev diary with the Barrett 50 cal. It has that
Mm,
really powerful spade muzzle brake that helps out with the recoil a bit, and we wanted to show that in the game. So there's a specific shape, of the muzzle flash going there. Again, it's a little bit over exaggerated because in the real world that's such a fraction of a second that it's not even a one frame. So it's something that's overexposed a little bit, but it's in order to create that better feeling that you actually shot a 50 cal. It's not
right.
like you're on the range, you're behind the screen. So some things need to be a little bit toned up.
Yeah, I know and I'm curious. I imagine we're gonna have some people that critique like the bullet lines and like the bullet visual effects because obviously you wouldn't see that unless there was a tracer, and not all weapons are gonna have tracers. And not all bullets would move that slow, but there is definitely an amount of that to make the pathing of the weapon and the excitement of the shot feel better. That you have to exaggerate some to make it entertaining and really fun. And be like, oh wow, I just got that sniper shot across the screen. You see it in the anticipation and the box is blowing up as it passes through an object. Like all of that is part of making it immersive. Um,
Yeah.
Another thing that and that's where the action movie element kind of comes in, right? When you watch action movies, sometimes you're like, okay, come on, right? Like that's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to a gun range, I've shot a gun before. That's not what it looks like, but I mean, it's fun, right? It sometimes has to be fun.
But then
Um,
again, the targets that you're shooting at don't wait for your 5 action points, to move around and shoot. So
Right, right. Um, and I do. Oh, you have to get on to Mom Chill here so we can get through.
yeah.
But I want to touch base on one last topic with you, which I think is a really cool thing, and we have some B-roll we're going to show in the background here while we talk about this. Yeah, never on says what? I thought John Wick was a documentary. Yes, right. Yeah, John Wick is definitely the way all. I just saw John Wick 4 actually. Those fight scenes, man, like there's something else. Definitely realistic, right? That's exactly if someone fell that many times from those heights. Uh, no injuries, could get right back up and keep going. I love when he gets hit by a car and it's like, whatever. No, it doesn't work that way. Keanu may be something, but he's not he's not gonna get hit by multiple cars and just walk away every time. Um, the sound was a really big aspect of making things feel really good, and we took the sound very seriously. And I think
Yeah.
you and other guys from the team, you got to go out into the field and do some really cool sound recording with the I think it was the Bulgarian military special forces. Maybe you can
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
Well, long story short, the guys first went to a shooting range just to get a feel of what we're supposed to, bring into life. Because some of the guys are interested in guns, and some of the guys weren't. Like we were talking artists, designers, and a lot of the people that are in the team. And afterwards, when I asked them, like, is someone like gonna drive the any recording for this? And they're like, no, you want to take it? And then was like, sure. So one of the shooting ranges that we went to, first we were trying indoor shooting ranges. That's very good for recording actual mechanics, like with the contact microphone, for all of the actual mechanics
Спасибо,
inside, like adding
George.
reloading, chambering, and so on. But it's a nightmare, for actual gunshots because like it's an enclosed space and you have such a loud sound, and it just it's awful. So we went to outdoor ranges. One of the outdoor ranges that's the actual fun story, that the next berm next to us were actually some of the Bulgarian military special forces guys, and I basically bought a coffee and went over there and introduced ourselves, started talking, and asked them, hey, what would it take, for us to come and record in some of your locations. And that was like a several months process of official letters and background checks and stuff like that. But we eventually got a day with the guys, and they showed us around a lot of the hardware that they have. Not all of it, but some of it was really cool. What they would spare, and yeah, one thing that I'm really uh what is it, disappointed is that we couldn't actually shoot an RPG sound. There was yeah, it was like
Yeah, there was
40 degrees out and it's midsummer. It was fire hazards for the actual shooting range. So yeah, they were like, okay, it's not gonna be safe today. So yeah,
yeah, you don't want to you definitely don't want to set off a fire as part of the Jagged Alliance 3's game development legacy. It's like, hey, while making this game, we accidentally burned down a forest. No,
yes,
that's not what we do. What I love about that though, and you know, and I think a lot of the fans know. And by the way, hi Yavor, great to see you as always, my friend. I love that you're joining in. Thank you so much. Yavor is an old fan of the Knights of Honor game, and he's was following it for years. So he's probably one of my I think one of the oldest streamer dev stream viewers. So whenever he comes in, I always got to give Yavor some special love. He's a really kind guy. Um, I think the aspect of getting sound to feel good and punchy and real is just so important. Like
yeah.
it adds this level of immersion and this level of excitement and tactile something that you can really like, just it's feel even though you don't realize it like feel that makes things feel come to life in a different way. And the fact that we're able to grab so much of that audio from the live firing range and bring those elements into the actual gunfires. I'll tell you right now, people, I know everyone's going to say it, right? We're going to get comments. I bet you money someone is going to be on the forums and be like, "Oh, these weapons don't feel real." It's like they were literally recorded, most of them, in a firing range. That was source material. That's kind of how the guns actually sound, and we tried to make that as immersive as we could. Taking that extra step to bring it to life, I think, is worth that time and effort. It
To be
definitely
honest,
paid off.
some of them actually don't sound like in a lot of other video games. Like it's a
Right.
little bit when you shoot some of the more exotic ones. I can go into detail some other time or somewhere on the forums, but yeah, it's not like that much different when it's a recorded sound, and you can see a actual freaking difference between the cartridges. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
movie
Yeah.
and
And
video game magic.
right. So I think if you have good speakers or good headphones, I think you're gonna enjoy the soundscape of the weaponry and the arsenals that you get a chance to employ during the game. And like you can see some of the footage, the team really went the extra. I remember there was like it was probably like a good month or so that you guys are going back and forth and doing a lot of those different testings. I remember on our weekly syncs, and you're like, "Yeah, we just got
More.
back." Yeah, it was more than that. Yeah, it was a while. I remember it
Mhm.
being quite a bit. Um, it was really, really cool. And I'm glad we captured the footage. You guys can kind of see. This was what?
Mhm.
I think that was what, 2.5 maybe years ago? It was a while ago.
It was a while
Um,
ago. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, super
it's a
cool.
lot of stuff happened up until then. So
Yeah. How are you happy with how everything came together? Like, are you really
I think
with
so.
your
There's a lot of fine detail that we managed to squeeze in there, and there's a lot of specifics. For instance, the mechanical sounds and how a lot of the different weapons operate. You don't have like semi-auto and bolt action, and a lot of the specific guns behave differently. So that required fine tuning all of the sounds. And that was a fun and exhausting task, but I'm quite happy with where we got to.
Yeah, and Rule in the Dwarf asked, does the sound get affected by its surroundings, indoors versus outdoors, for example? Yeah, I mean, there's different soundscape modifiers based on how, like things like reverb and density of the sound, and you can definitely feel that in different environments. Even like when a weapon shoots from an indoor to an outdoor area, there's a little bit of a modifier. So, I mean, to be honest, and this is maybe a hot take. I've always been a little bit disappointed in us as a game development industry and how much we brought sound development to the forefront. There's some really cool tech back even like 15 years ago that some companies were making to create some really cool sound hardware that would drive immersive sound experiences when it came to like with the kind of APIs you could plug into. And now a lot of it's done on the software side. So we have some cool software you're using to do some of those soundscape changes, but to me, it's never enough. I wish that there was more investment in hardware solutions that can really drive some very crazy stuff. Because I mean, at the end of the day, that can have a huge impact. But no, I think you're going to definitely get those soundscape changes as you go from different environments, and even like how things like rain and whatnot, and all those sound effects, those change the soundscape too. So
Mhm.
always passionate about audio. It's to me a really cool thing. Yeah, yeah, you're right, Rule in the Door. Sometimes graphics are secondary and sound, but sound is just as important and can be just as immersive. Um, well, Pavel, thank you so much. We're going to bring you back for the Q&A section. We have our thank you very much, and we'll have you back in there in a little bit. We're going to bring our new guest in, and you guys haven't met our new guest before. I'll wait till he gets his headset on.
Hello.
Well, how are you doing?
Oh, great. Thank you.
Are you excited to be on your first stream?
Yeah. I have never been on national television before, so yeah, I'm super excited.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I enjoy interacting with you. You are an absolute character. You guys didn't see this before when we were in pre-screen, our pre-stream. You were dancing like in the background of Pavel to like kind of mess with us, and it's just a lot of fun. So I think everyone's gonna have a good time interacting with you. So today we're talking about guns, and your role. Why don't you just really quickly kind of introduce yourself? What was your role in the project?
Oh man, I don't know from where to start. My role on the project is basically to make sure that all of the combat gameplay content, including itemization, is properly implemented, and there is actually a game behind all of this super cool art and sound that you talked about with Pavel. So yeah, if your favorite gun doesn't behave like you really want, I'm the one to find online, docs, and destroy it.
Okay, well, I don't know if I would encourage. You're the one that we get to ask how do we make this better. That's the right. Now as a combat designer, I know what we were talking about with Pavel. Yeah, okay, Ruin, don't note that. That's not the note that we want to keep. There's what was kind of from your combat designer perspective the thought process that you went through when it came to what kind of guns we wanted to include and what kind of class we want to include. What was important to you?
Yeah, I think that for us as a team, the most important thing was to make sure that the player has the freedom to choose the proper tool for their engagement. So we wanted to give you various and different play styles to play around. So all of the different weapon types that we have introduced in the game, they're there just to give you that feeling that when you find a certain gun, you can devise your own plan and strategy how you're going to get the best use of it.
Now, one
Yeah.
thing that kind of ties into that, and we didn't talk about this yet with Pavel, is the ammunition, because it's not just. I mean, obviously the weapon and its mods are a big part of how the weapon behaves, right? You're not gonna have a shotgun at like a sniper per se,
Yeah.
but the ammo that you actually use has an impact in that kind of variety as well, because different ammo can drive different types of interactions with the environment and with enemies and whatnot. So I mean, ammo is pretty important when it comes to how you equip your weapons.
Yes, of course. We have tried to introduce another level of customization by introducing the various specialized types of ammo for the given caliber. Like
What
for
are,
example, yeah,
I'm sorry,
you
what
can
are the different,
yeah, come again.
what are the different types of ammunition we have? We can like give a
Yeah, for example, we have hollow point
and armor piercing. Armor piercing ammo basically allows you to go more easily through enemy armor, which allows you to, let's say, have more consistent damage output of your merc. But hollow point ammo doesn't interact very well with enemy armor. But when you manage to hit the enemy into an unarmored spot, it does magic, and it's not pretty. So yeah. We also have other very specialized ammo types. For example, subsonic for very limited number of calibers. We have introduced this ammo not because it makes you super good at killing people, but it makes you super unnoticeable at killing people. So, for example, if you want to go full stealth ninja style, you can, for example, choose to not fully modify your weapon and still be super effective at silently taking out entire outposts of enemies.
Yeah, I think it was a couple streams ago. We were talking with Bouillon about. It may have been you. Someone in the team was trying to do a single merc playthrough, and part of that single merc playthrough, the key was to be stealthy and to not get into certain
Oh,
combat
yes.
situations. Because if you got into that combat situation, there was only one of you and you couldn't survive it. And I think subsonic with silencers is an example of how you had to kind of approach like you couldn't. We were talking about this, as someone was like, "Oh, how could you play the game with one merc?" And part of how you would do that was to have an understanding of the mechanics, so you knew, okay, I need to have silencers, I need to get a good amount of subsonic ammo so I can use them in these circumstances. Because if I just go in there with a normal gun, I'm gonna wake up the entire group. But maybe I can get this one person taken down without being discovered, and then move around and kind of survive there. So I feel like having that ability to use ammo to magnify your other choices, I think, like you said, adds that other layer in it. It's fun. Like, and it also creates a sense of rarity, because you may want to use a certain ammo type, but you have to kind of either spend the time to maybe craft some more if you have the right materials, or you have to switch ammo in certain combat situations, so you don't want to waste the ones that you have less of. So there is that kind of additional resource management layer that you have to think of when making those decisions.
Yes, this was one of the reasons we wanted to, let's say, keep the basic idea of Jagged Alliance 2, which sadly a lot of modern games forgo by excising the ammo mechanic out of their gameplay. Because, let's say, I have a group of enemies that are super heavily armored. Maybe not all of their bodies are covered in heavy armor, but let's say I have less than one clip of armor piercing ammo for my gun. I have to very carefully think how I'm going to spend it. Maybe even retreat from this combat and come back later. We want the player to have this feeling in the game. You are not fated to always chew through your through each of your encounters. Yes.
And that also comes down to, people were asking about that in the forums, about like or in the community dev diary post, asking about things like armor penetration and object penetration. We've talked about how bullets do penetrate certain objects, and how that is a combination of factors, as it deals with the caliber of the weapon and the type of ammo used, and that's how it determines, can it go through this soft wall, or does it get stuck in the soft wall? Can it go through an obstacle like a crate, or a piece of sheet metal or whatever? So all of those elements kind of combine together, and it does. You may be in a situation where it's like, man, if I had an armor penetration round, I could shoot through this wall and maybe kill this guy in this one turn, but I only have like one clip left. So I use that now, or do I move around? And like, you're
Yes.
making those decisions, which is kind of fun. The resource management and the ammo management definitely ties into even that low level tactical choice of what weapon and which decision you're going to make. And you can change ammo. I mean, it takes AP, but you can change ammo when you're in the field, like when you're in an encounter. You just have to use the AP to do it.
Yes, exactly. This is, for example, why we wanted definitely to have the options for a lot of guns to have this quick change mag, which
Oh, Yeah.
which allows you to super efficiently switch your ammo type, because it will definitely allow you to super quickly change your playstyle mid combat.
Oh, pardon me.
Bless you.
I guess I'm allergic to quick swap ammo type or mags. Sorry about that. Well, let's pull up. I know we want to go through some of the mod customization. There's a lot of different choices that you can make. Let's go ahead and just. I have a whole bunch of notes here on my script, but I'm going to go a little bit off script. Let's go ahead and do a screen share, and you and I will go through and mod. We showed 2 weapons. Yes. Oh shit, that's right, Hawk. We're gonna show some screen sharing here, so you're gonna see some of the game. We're just gonna go through a few of these weapons and mod them in real time, and we'll just kind of walk through.
Sure,
I've
yes.
already kind of oh, you mean because I'm improvising? We're good at improvising. So as soon as the screen is up, I'm waiting for my awesome producer in the background to give me the thumbs up that we're on the screen share. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the in-game UI, and we had 2 weapons that we talked about when we did the dev diary. I think it was what was it? It was the PSG-1 and the Commando, right? Those are the 2 weapons that we showed there. I'm waiting for the thumbs up that we have the screen share going. All right, got thumbs up, so I think we're good. So let's. Which one do you want to look at first? The PSG-1 or the Commando? What do you think?
Let's pick the Commando first. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go to the modify screen. So this is the weapon mod screen here. We were talking about this earlier. You can flip your weapon around. So these rifles, the assault rifles, they have a lot of different customization options. So I think in the dev diary, what was the build for this one? Like, what was the goal of this particular setup?
Well, the goal of this weapon setup that we gave as an example was to allow you to be super efficient at intercepting enemy movements, which is very good in 2 situations. First, you are fighting in adverse weather conditions like night plus fog or something like this. So you cannot rely on long-range shooting. You want your enemies to basically be forced to come to you, and then you can shoot them when they approach up close. So you are going to use a setup similar to this one. The other thing is we want to allow you to interact with some parts of the character advancement, which are going to let you be a killing machine in reaction fire. So this aims to produce a lot of semi-accurate, but let's say more or less accurate reaction shots in the enemy turn, a lot of them, so that you can just skew the approaching or firing enemies. But this doesn't mean that you cannot use the gun proactively to just drop your enemies dead. You have just decided, for example, to specialize this weapon for this purpose, because it's a viable way of playing in close quarter fighting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, and I do have some cheats on right now, so I don't have to worry about the modification system. When you modify,
it will cost you.
It costs you resources, and there's also a chance, I think, to fail based on your engineering or your mechanical skills. So you want to always do the action with someone that has, or you always want to have a high mechanic skill person in your party when doing this. So yeah, we're talking about, like, this is I think a really cool idea, which is the reflex sight. If you want to have a weapon that you're going to be using in that Overwatch system, having that to have more Overwatch attacks when you put them in Overwatch, and even though you have combining with some of the skills of your mercs can make that choice. And there's a whole bunch of different options that you have here when it comes to like what you can do. I know that we were talking before about the quick mag, which can increase the or decrease the AP cost when reloading. We're in the expanded clip size, which can also be super helpful with Overwatch, because if you're just wanting to do Overwatch each time, this allows you to not have to worry about as much reload. You can get the Overwatch.
Oh, yes. So, yes, basically, when you want to focus on, let's say, mono ammo type build, probably you want to modify your gun to have some sort of extended ammo capacity.
Yeah.
this is mostly viable way to go with a gun. You can, for example, choose my gun is not going to be good at everything. This one,
Yeah.
for example, it's not going to be good at everything. I have probably a second option, or another guy in my squad can take on this role to kill, for example, super highly armored enemies. I'm going to focus on destroying the hordes of small foes. Let's say not small, but weak ones that are not well equipped, etc., etc. The ones that actually present more consistent danger, I think, in combat. So yeah, I don't want a lot of enemies to shoot full auto at my buddies. I want them to stop forever and reconsider probably the wrongness of directions. Yeah.
So
If
we're
they
gonna look at
survive.
we're gonna look at the PSG one next. We don't have too much time. By the way, I love the reflection maps on these things. Like, they look so pretty. It's really, really cool. The lighting in this scene, which actually took quite a few iterations, but the lighting in this scene is awesome. Really, really well. And I love these are a little bit details, but we actually talked a lot about how to make the background of this UI, and we spent quite a few iterations, because originally it wasn't like this. The guns kind of floated in the air, and we kind of had it be a little more digital. And because of the UI experience here, when you're kind of in your armory crate, we were like, okay, well, maybe instead of it being like a digital thing, like from your PDA Palm thing, we make it like you roll out a sheet, and you have your tools that you're gonna be modifying. So it just kind of helps make it feel a little more immersive, which it's little details, but I think it really, I like the way it came together. I think that textured kind of workshop look, even though the weapon's not laying on it, it just kind of adds a little flavor here and there. So I'm really happy with that. So by the way, this would take you quite a bit of time to get all these mods put in. Obviously, I used cheats and got them all done. If we're gonna fully mod a weapon, this is not something you're gonna sit there and do in like the first 5 or 6 hours per se. It's something you're gonna have to spend time getting those resources, especially if you're using, because the parts you're using here, you're also using to do things like respond to certain quests, not quests, but things that you're doing in the game, or you may need them for repairing a weapon, and all those things kind of pull from the same resource pool. So you're gonna have to make yes, Hawk, I'm definitely cheating for demonstration's sake to get this set up. I'm not gonna play for 10 hours or 15 hours to get all these weapons modded.
More, yeah.
More, yeah, of course. So the PSG1 setup that you have here for the dev diary, what's the vision with this guy?
This one is one of my babies, so to say. This build with this weapon in particular. Yeah, actually, the way that we have demonstrated this thing in the dev diary, it's a very unusual sniper build that is focused on using hollow point ammo, which means that you can forget about hitting through armor or objects, but you are able to pretty consistently deal a lot, and I mean a lot of damage via the critical mechanic to enemies that forgot to put armor on some of their softer body parts. So yeah. This is optimized to deal a lot of critical hits, but you just have to aim for the parts of the enemy body that just don't feature any armor parts. Otherwise, you're going to blink them away, so to say.
Yeah. Well, so aiming. Well, I'll answer that question in a second. So the one that we have right now is the Prism Scope, which large crit chance for 3+ aim levels. But you also, I think, in the dev diary, are talking about the Quick Prism Scope. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this in, which I'll succeed immediately because of because I'm a dev. That's not usually the way.
God-like powers.
Yes, God powers, Brad powers. So the someone was asking how the aim. So aiming, basically, if you've seen it, and like I can show you in combat, but I don't even know what the save file is at, so I actually can't show you the map because there could be spoilers in there. I just loaded this up to go into the mod screen. When you're aiming at a target, your reticle can be right-clicked to zoom in, and as you're zooming in, it increases your accuracy, but also increases the AP cost of the shot. So some of these modifications basically give you free aims, which is basically free levels of accuracy, instead of having to use right click and i.e. paying more AP to do it. So it allows you to take better shots for lower AP, which really makes a big difference.
Yes, basically the way this gun is set up, especially if you use the quick prism scope, is with your careful setup, you lie on the ground, probably on an elevated position like a typical sniper would do, and then
with the bipod.
you start combat with the enemy. Your first shot in your turn, because you started your turn by shooting, is going to count as being aimed at level 3, and this will allow you to basically, if your mercenary is experienced enough, to almost guarantee it do a critical hit. But even if you don't do a critical hit on your first shot and your enemy miraculously survives, you're going to be able to produce in a quick succession a second shot in the same turn that is going to be a guaranteed critical hit.
Oh,
so we want you to maximum double tap an enemy in their unarmored body part. So you're going to do a lot of damage with the proper character setup. Yeah. If you want to kill guys with armor without aiming into their eyes and let's say fingers and things like this, just use another weapon setup. You can, for example, do it proper sniper type, this gun. But this one is super optimized into one direction. It cannot do anything else than shoot at unarmored targets, obliterating them in 1 or 2 shots.
I think someone was asking us if he had one more weapon. I'll show one. Here's ammo and stuff for squad supplies. I'll click out the MP4 just for fun. Which kind of shows you, like, those rifles and whatnot have a lot more modification options.
Yes.
The smaller weapons. And this is not, I mean, like, pistols also have multiple slots. It's not like every small weapon only has one slot.
Yes.
Like, different weapons have different types of attachments based on kind of the weapon's design and what we're going for. So for this one, it just has this janky extended mag option versus the default mag. Look at me spinning resources like they were candy. You would not.
Yeah, just guys, don't be disheartened that some of the more primitive or more basic weapons don't have enough modifications to, let's say, satisfy your insane engineering desires. Your gun can be pretty efficient at a certain row, even that it's not super modern. If I can go into detail about this. Can I, Brad?
Yeah, a little bit. We have like
all right.
2 minutes left, so
all right.
Be quick.
For example, your high power Browning high power pistol. It's the most basic of pistols that you're going to encounter in the game, in the early stages of it. But funnily enough, it has the best ratio between action point cost for shooting and raw damage dealt. So even if you never actually manage to find another pistol, you're going to be able to have a super efficient at killing gun. You are not going to be able to modify it super heavily into various builds, but it's actually pretty good enough. And we have made sure that a lot of the weapons that you're going to find in later stages of your campaign, they are not going to be the gun that you need currently. Probably you have started going into specializing in super high accuracy assault rifle that can act as a sniper rifle, for example, and you find another one. But the new gun probably can go to another merc. Your merc already has started going in this direction and you like it. So you're going to use your, let's say, M14 as a sniper / assault rifle. You're going to use your let's say FAMAS, for example, for a rapid assault close quarters fighting gun. And we want you to feel free to mix and match things in the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, maximizing and putting all of the modifications on a certain gun will not make it 100% better than when it wasn't modified.
Yeah. We can go ahead and stop the screen share for now. I've shown a couple of things. Yeah, I think, and there's going to be some comments about, that line between realism and choice and gameplay. And there are definitely some decisions we made that are stretching realism here and there. But a lot of it was to increase that level of choice and how players can make decisions about what they want to do in certain situations. And I think it's always a delicate balance when you're making a game, especially that's trying to be a little more towards a simulation angle, but pure realism really limits you in what's fun. So I think the number one objective was to really allow players to create those different play styles and experiment with different things and enjoy, oh, what if I tried this or what if I tried that? And a lot of this is honestly tied to that that thing that Bouillon has talked about a number of times, where he plays Jagged Alliance 2 every year. He wanted to create a system where you could have fun playing it again and trying different things that you didn't try the last time, because you'd have it drive a different level of experience and tactical approach to different situations. It's like, what if I did the game with this type of experience? Oh, Spine Duke, don't even get me started on the music. That track that was just playing, by the way, is one of my favorite music tracks I've ever heard in a game, much less been a part of. There's some music in this game that just melts me and floors me. I really love. Anyways, don't get me on a rant about the music. You'll get me emotional. But I feel like that decision-making process was super important and to replay. And we really wanted you to feel that, what if I did this, what would happen? Kind of like we're hearing from the dev team now, people trying crazy things like, what if I had one guy and can I make it through the whole game? Well, maybe you can't. Maybe you can. Maybe you can't. What if I did the game with every person having pistols and no high caliber weapons? What if I did all shotguns? Or what if it was, there's a lot of different things you can try.
Yes.
So
it's going to be super difficult, but you're probably going to be able to do it. But it will cost you your soul, I guess. For example, the one guy built, yeah.
And I feel like it's part of, we know when the game comes out, the player base is going to find ways to do things that we don't expect, even though we're trying all these weird combos right now. And we'll see how that goes. Well, let's bring Pavel back out here. Yeah, Spine Duke, you're right. Let's do the Q&A. We'll bring Pavel back out here and we'll go through some questions.
Okay.
Dirty Larry. I've been told I also look like some wrestler. Someone sent me this picture or this video, not look like, but sound like. There was an interview of some wrestler and my voice inflections are very similar. So I guess there's always verbal and visual doppelgangers out there. Let's see here. Oh, this is one question. So I'm gonna grab Solar's Wave. I don't know if Solar's Wave is in the chat, but I wanted to grab a couple of his questions. He had a whole bunch that he asked, and one of them I actually wasn't 100% sure of, and this kind of shows some of my ignorance. He or she asked, will the use of flashlights give away the position of the shooter using the light? And I wasn't 100% sure. Does it? It does, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Once you start shooting with it attached to your gun, you can the enemies basically can see you in their active turn.
Okay.
Or if you trigger a reaction shot in your turn from an enemy that has set a reaction shot, yeah. So yeah, okay. The answer is yes.
And another question that he asked that I thought was a good one, because everyone always asking about dual wield, and we talked about this a little bit. So dual wielding handguns and small SMGs is a fun addition. I like this inclusion in Jagged Alliance 2, and it was a nice surprise when you tried it and saw the mercs actually using two guns at the same time. What SMGs can be dual wielded? Which we don't need to go through all of them, but I think they're kind of asking kind of the general idea. Is it only machine pistol types such as the Micro Uzi and the Mac 10 or Mac 11, or are there larger SMGs too? And then will there be accurate penalties? So I think we talked about this a little bit earlier with Pavel. There are some SMGs you can't dual wield. Isn't that right?
Yes, of course. I basically, guys, I have to be honest with you. I'm a super huge Diablo 2 fan. I remember my barbarian build with two grandfathers, and at first I wanted to introduce dual wielding heavy machine guns, but the rest of the team threatened that they're going to kill me, so this is why it's not in the game. So sadly, you cannot dual wield all of the weapons, especially RPG 7s, but you can, for example, use double Uzis. But I have to warn you that the only person that is going to be probably happy about it once you start spraying everything around with bullets is probably going to be the bullet manufacturer. So yeah. Yeah. It's double with the double Uzi build is what I call the Uzi melee build. You just approach the enemy from a knife stabbing range, and then you unleash hell. It's super exciting to do this, actually.
Right. And we got to keep those bullet manufacturers in Grand Chien in business, right?
Yes, of course.
I will say maybe Monchi, you can make a developer mod for Jag 3 that allows dual wielding of every weapon class with its own like settings. Maybe that's a post-release dev mod or whatever, and you can do your dual wielding machine guns. It's like
Actually,
that.
Brad, the one of the first mods that I thought of we should make is to revert the original descriptions of the weapons that Momchi
Oh
wrote.
no!
They're a bit wild.
Oh no! Oh my!
Oh, I want this mod. I like that. The Momshi special. Maybe we can even get some translations going.
I should emigrate to a country where there is no internet then. So yeah.
Oh man, it sounds great. All right, let me. My face is hurting. I've been smiling so much and laughing so much. This has been a good stream. I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. This is. I remember Ian mentioned this last week when we were hanging out with him. Just how funny the Hemont guys are and how much fun it is to hang out with you guys. These streams are just endlessly entertaining. I love it. All right, so let's go through a few of the questions from chat. So Rule and the Dwarf asked this question. I think I know the answer to this already, but do you still want to keep handguns in the late game? Like, are handguns still a viable option late game?
Yes, you can reliably use a handgun in the late game. Of course, you cannot expect to hit someone from the other end of the map. Yeah. But if you're going for a close quarter fighting build, I actually in my current playthrough, I have a squad of 4 guys who are optimized for only for close quarter fighting. One of them uses only handguns and revolvers. Yes. So yeah, the way I call my squad of mine is quote, why are you bringing a gun to a knife fight? Yeah. So the goal of this entire team is to smoke up, throw flashbangs, approach, kill everybody, and then go drink tequila.
And then go drink with Fidel. So yeah, I think that's part of like that fantasy that you can play in different ways you want to engage. So there's a lot of options there. I think this is also a good question because I think it may not be obvious. The answer is going to be everything, but Olak was asking, what's the main way of getting weapons? Is it found in the world? Does it come with the mercs? Find on enemies, etc. I mean, some mercs come with good weapons, but for the most part, it's going to be stuff that you're going to get during your game. But you find them in different ways. Like enemies definitely drop weapons sometimes, and you can loot them. There are also weapons in different parts of the world. I think we've talked about one of the quests that you get really early on in early Island. You actually get this option to go and find a machine gun that's hidden in a bunker, and if you get it, you can keep it or you can give it back. It's a really powerful early game weapon. So there's there's different rewards and different choices that you're making based on what you're finding. But there's a lot of different ways that you find the arsenal that you get. And the part that's also is something you have to manage is the quality of the weapon or the durability of it. 'Cause I've definitely found some weapons that were on like an enemy, for example, that's a really good gun, but it's at like 10%, which means the thing's not even going to fire. It's going to jam and get and a lot and cause you more harm than good. So sometimes you're like, man, I don't want to dismantle this for parts. I want to keep it, but I can't use it right now. So now I have to wait to save up the right parts to repair it back to full to be able to use. And it's a whole decision making process.
Yeah. Let's say only a couple of guns, like several of them, you can find guaranteed in different locations of the world. But you probably should first take care of their wielder and owner before that, and it's not going to be super easy. But the rest of the weapons that you are going to find, and basically the majority of items, is going to be pretty much more or less randomized. But as I said earlier, the weapons, their damage output is super comparable to one another. So even if you never manage to go beyond your, let's say, early sniper rifle or early submachine gun, you can still utilize them in late game. Because let's face it, guys, this, for example, I can super reliably kill you with a musket from the 17th century. There is no problem. I just have to hit you with it, and probably it's going to cause a lot more damage than a 5.6. So this is what I wanted in the game to be implemented like that. Just bullets are going to be deadly in whatever you do.
Yeah. I want to grab a couple other questions. Yavor asked one that I'll answer really quick because Yavor is an old friend of the stream, I should say. Yavor was asking, is there only one source of finding mercs, or are there more shady ways to have a bit more crazy guys for your team? So most of the mercs that you grab are going to be hired through the mercenary group. So you're gonna actually have your in-game interface and go find the ones that you want, and you're gonna have to convince them to join you and pay them a salary. There are also some hidden mercs that are out there that you can find through following certain quest lines, but we're not going to talk about those too much. They're things you're going to discover while you play. But most of them, I'd say like 90+%, 95% are going to be the mercs that are actually in the AIM database that you hire, as well as a create your merc, which we do have the ability for you to create your own merc, and go through like the personality test and everything to do that, similar to previous Jag games. So that's also there. The other question I wanted to grab, because I thought it was a good one. Where'd it go? Oh yeah, Spine Duke asked, "Is weight an issue in the game?" So we don't have weight on a squad. So you're not gonna have like weight. What we did do is have different backpack sizes for different characters. So some characters have more slots than others on their person. The ammo and some of the other critical components are shared amongst the squad and aren't in an individual person's backpack, but weapons and other certain types of items do go in the backpack. So you are making a decision on inventory management about what someone is holding. Like if you have a rifle, you can equip that rifle, but someone else can't equip that from your backpack. You have to go and it has to be on your person. So there's kind of a balancing act of which things you actually add to your individual character. But things like ammo and some of the other things back in the old days, we actually did have all of that on per character basis, and it just felt cumbersome for no real benefit. Like it was like extra micromanagement that didn't really drive anything. So we adjusted that to kind of create some things that are character bound and some things that are squad bound.
Yeah, but basically, Steroid's gonna be able to carry a lot more than Mouse.
Right. So it's like an implied
including
weight.
Mouse herself. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, including myself. So we abstracted the weight system and turned it into more of like how much each character can carry based on their individual profiles. So I think it works well to, make that work without overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, that's an interesting question. Clay PL asked, does explosive usage impact durability and loot quality? So if you use like a grenade or a rocket launcher on an enemy and they drop something, does that change the durability? I think that's rolled. Oh, it does.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay. So if you like,
For
if you
example, if their armor can be broken for sure. Like you
oh
can still find it at random, but you're going to find it at zero condition. Then you're going to have to repair it through the slow process that is going to take a lot of time. So yeah, this
does that
for sure.
impact weapon durability though? I think it's just armor, isn't it?
Uh,
I'm gonna try that.
I don't.
I'm not
I don't.
sure.
Yeah, I don't remember it impacting weapon durability. I thought the weapon durability was just part of the roll when it drops. But that'd be maybe we. I'm curious now. I wonder.
Okay, I'm going out to ask some of our devs, and they're going to tell me. Yeah.
You know what's really fun about game development, everybody, is that sometimes you're like, well, we didn't design it to do that, but it may because certain things are of certain classes, and those classes can sometimes be bundled together. And if something affects that class, and we put that in that class, and it's everything. So, that's a good question. That's a really good question. We'll have to find the answer to that.
Yeah, we are going to post it in forums, right?
Yeah, yeah. Happy little accidents. Yeah, like Bob Ross said. Sometimes you have happy little accidents.
Oh my god, no. I have
Uh,
flashbacks.
Wait, you have Bob? Well, hold on a second.
Not because of
Ross?
Bob Ross, Brad. Not because of Bob Ross. Because
Okay.
of little accidents.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was about to say, I'm like, man, what
Like
kind of like what is like what YouTube channels are you watching to get Bob Ross flashbacks? I didn't know that was a thing. I'm imagining like they're going, no more happy clouds, no more happy clouds.
no.
Bob Ross flashbacks. That's fantastic. All right. Yeah, DJ Two Turntables has a great question. How many others have waited 20 plus years for Jagged Alliance 3, for a Jagged Alliance 2 sequel? I think a lot of us, especially the ones who have been like Booyan have been playing the game every year for the last 20 plus years. So quite a few. I think that's about. Is there anything else that you guys want to just kind of share with the stream before we call it? I know we've gone a little bit long today.
What
probably
else?
probably a bunch of other stuff, but
Yeah,
I
I
can't think
don't.
of
I don't
anything
think
off the top of my head.
I think that we have to reserve them for some unofficial stream, so that Brat is not going to call our boss and fire us, right? Yeah.
Well, digital.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's we're at that point, and you're probably gonna notice this as we get closer and closer, where everything is just like, right. Every day that you get closer to your release day, the breath in gets bigger and the breath out gets a little slower. You're like, right. We're getting at that stage. So we're 2 weeks. Oh, dude, spine. Don't even. It's right there. But we're all. You can see it from hopefully you can get it from the energy in the streams, right? We're all very excited. It's been a long journey to get where we're at, and it's been a great journey, and I've loved working with the Hemont team, and you guys are a lot of fun. It's gonna be a fun 2 week day from now, and then we'll see what happens. I saw someone else saying that, and that's very kind of you, right? Someone was saying earlier, I can't remember who it was. I have to go back to my chat. It's like, hey, I'll buy the game twice if it'll help, because we really want DLC. We hope, we want to make DLC too. We want to support this game for a long time, so we're really hoping that people enjoy it. And
What was it? Buy it, gift it, just not to your mom.
yeah. Hey, mom can play Jagged Alliance. Come on.
Oh, if she is.
Yeah, you never know. But we really appreciate all you guys' support, and it means a lot. And we're gonna be back here next Thursday again. DJ says you don't know my ma. We'll be back here again next week for another stream. And I don't remember. Do you remember what the topic is for next week, Pavel? What is our dev diary next week? Do you remember? I don't remember.
No.
There's
I
too
need
much
to
stuff
check.
going on.
Yeah.
It'll be a surprise for everybody next week. So if you haven't joined our community, community.jaggedalliance.com. It's we post our dev diaries every week. We also have the new Merc trailer that's up on the thqnordic YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen the new Merc trailer, check it out. We were gonna play it during the stream, but we had so much to go over today. I knew we were gonna run out of time. We also have a new trailer dropping next week. The Arsenal trailer that's focused on the guns, like we talked about today. So I think you're gonna get some cool stuff for that. We have a lot of good stuff going on right now. So get plugged in to our different channels. We'll be back Thursday, exact same time, to talk more with you. We'll have new guests. It'll be a lot of fun. I actually think Booyan with an I may be the guest next week. There was rumors that he was going to be coming on soon, so maybe next week is a stream.
If it's that special topic,
if you guys don't want to miss, you want to be there for the Booyan with an I stream. That's going to be a great stream. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So everyone, Booyan, the latest Apple product, right, Hawk? Pavel, thank you so much for joining. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure for us as well.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, now you're TV famous. It's all good. Everyone, you guys have a great next week. We'll see you next Thursday. Appreciate all your love and support. Stay safe and take care. Cheers.
Bye.